This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Lovely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht edition live on Facebook. Tonight we are joined by the lovely Petra Smith-Brewer from Oila Concept Store, and we have our usual fun and games with This Day in History, Matt Goes Dutch, and Tracy's Tidbits, so make sure you stay tuned.
Yay! Good evening, everybody! Welcome to the Maastricht edition.
Yay.
Here we are again. And not only have we got the lovely Petra on the show this evening, we are going to be celebrating, I don't know if that's the right word, but celebrating National Paper Plane Day. Oh, it doesn't get any more exciting than that.
We're going to do live demonstration.
We've got our pieces of paper here. We're going to do a sort of recycling of some old paper here, and we're going to be making paper planes. I'm not actually quite sure, Tracy, what we're going to do with these paper planes once we've made them, though.
I suspect we're going to pose with them for our end of show photograph. I think that's probably what it's
as far as it's going to go, isn't it?
As far as you can throw them, I'd say. But we'll see. We're going to do a live creation. So let's see what happens.
Maybe if we're clever, we can throw them and they'll appear in the different screens and it'll go across in a nice arc.
That would be
because we're that sophisticated, aren't we?
About technology there, Matt. Way too much. But yes, here we are again, and post-Eurovision. The last couple of weeks, of course, we've been talking about the Eurovision Song Contest. It's come and it's gone. So, guys, were you watching last weekend?
I was, I think.
Yes. Matthew's not quite sure.
I definitely watched half of it.
Oh, okay. Okay. The
other half is a bit fuzzy.
Oh, so you watched the first half and it's the second half that's fuzzy then. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we probably can get away with any spoiler alerts, Italy won. Hurrah! Italy. They did a great job. They really, really did. But of course, on the other end of the scale, 0 points for the UK. Oh dear, oh dear.
That was quite harsh, actually. 0 points from both the professional jury and the public vote. Very hard pill to swallow, that one.
Yeah, it is a shame. But I have to say, well done to the Netherlands, actually, for putting on a really, really good show. I think they did an excellent job. It really didn't feel any different to the other years, apart from last year, of course, but the normal years, whatever they are, it just came across as a full-on normal show. And I think actually, I don't know, but it seemed to me that the quality of the songs were actually better this year than many other years. I don't know about you guys.
They're really good.
Yeah, I think I had the same. I thought there was a couple of stinkers in there, but that's normal. But there were definitely more better songs and performances than not. So quite difficult to come up with the top 3 at the end of the show. I had still my money on France, Italy, and Finland. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, excellent. Well, my favourites were Iceland, of course, and they were in the top 5 as well. So. Yes, big love to them. And actually, I've noticed that they've actually posted a tour that they're going to be doing. So Daddy Freya is the actual guy who leads the band there, doing a tour next year, already sold out in most places.
Oh.
Yeah. So very, very popular. Very popular. So I'm very keen to actually see them live myself, just for the dancing. Because I've been practicing all the dancing moves, for sure.
Yeah, that's quite cool, actually, the dancing. There's a lot of memes
that
and
was
things.
really cool, where the 3 piano keyboard players together, and it was a...
Yes. Well, if you follow him on YouTube, you will see there's actually loads and loads of videos giving you instructions on how to do the dance moves in their videos, and lots of behind the scenes and all sorts going on. So, it's worth having a look. But yeah, that's it for another year. And also a big hats off to Denis from ESC Plus. He did a fantastic job, and we have to thank him for joining us for the last couple of weeks to give us some up-to-date news on the ground from behind the scenes at the Rotterdam Ahoy. He did a fantastic job. So he's looking forward to Rome next year, I suspect.
I suspect he is. I'm not sure. Is it confirmed to be Rome next year? I suppose it will be.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. It's definitely Italy, though.
They're going to be like, the cities have to like bid or something. So maybe it'll be Milan. Or...
It could be Milan. Yeah, you never know. So, well, Italy in any case, and actually all of Italy is fabulous. So,
This is true.
Yes,
this is true.
It's all good.
So my news for this week, I've had my first vaccine.
Yay!
Last Friday, I had my first one. So, yes, I found it all very easy. Straight in, jabbed, out again. No side effects or anything like that. So, I'm a happy bunny. And I've just got to wait a month for the second vaccine. And then I'm good to go.
Woohoo!
So the hugging is getting closer.
Oh, yes, indeed. I'd say July or August could be the month of the hugs, perhaps. So you never know. Yeah.
Maybe they should introduce National Hugging Day.
I think there probably already is a National
Hugging Day. Cause a lot of anxiety, wouldn't it? Can you imagine the time everyone's allowed to be like, oh, I'm not sure I should. No.
No, God, no.
1.5 meters, please. No.
That's it. Well, the thing is, you get used to it, don't you? The being kind of distant from people.
Yeah.
It's become a bit of an odd thing to be, oh my God, what's that person doing? So we'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, as we were saying, we're also going to be celebrating National Paper Plane Day. It actually happened yesterday. So we've all got our pieces of paper here. I have to ask you guys, when was the last time you did this?
Maybe last year somewhere. I don't know. I like a bit of folding, and well, not to toot my own horn, but I do dabble in a little bit of origami from time to time. But
little things that come up during the show that we learn so much about each other that
there
we didn't know before. So
yes,
origami, Tracy.
Well,
okay.
I mean, I'm obsessed with Japan and stuff like that, so it's quite a normal thing to do. And when I was there a few years ago now, I mean, you can. I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, even kind of window displays have these beautiful, and they're stunning and such delicate little items. But it's a very therapeutic kind of calming thing to do from time to time. I'm not sure it's going to be that calming doing a paper plane live on the show, but let's give it a try.
Well, should we give it a go?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. I've got to say, I raided the tray from the printer and looked at some of the discarded pieces of paper. I have a route from getting from A to O, which seems to be a load of hotels. I'm not quite sure what route we were following, but
there you go.
So, but now I must confess, I don't know about you, Matt, but I haven't done this for years.
I occasionally, if I have a random scrap of paper, just make one.
Right.
I feel I'm missing out here, that I should be doing this more. So I've obviously.
I bet mine will be different though, because I learned this technique from a book.
Oh, okay. Well, all I've done, I don't know about you guys, I've just folded it in half so far.
Right.
And then I'm just going to fold in towards the centre. This is what I seem to remember. I also seem to remember, actually, they all come out looking like Concorde.
Yes, they do tend to look like Concorde, indeed. I've also folded it in half, but I've gone breadthways as opposed to lengthways like you, Joe.
Oh, okay.
I'm mixing it up. It's all about the crease. I'm just folding and folding. Here we go.
Already. Not good.
Oh, look. Oh, no. I think I'm almost done, actually. I think I've got a very basic model here. Going to do the thing. I wonder if the people watching tonight are enjoying this.
You see what I'm doing? Sorry, guys. There you go. Look, I've got to this stage.
Oh, wow.
And now I need to make the wing.
Stubby, isn't it?
But there's only a small bit of paper.
Oh, okay.
My basic model is done. I'm just going to twist the nose a bit because Concorde does have a bit of a twisty nose. There we go.
Concorde has a twisty nose. That sounds something an engineer would say.
There you go. I might add some little flaps at the end. Oh, Joe, I think you and I have a very similar design.
I think, yes, I think I do. But, okay. I tell you what I'm also going to do is I'm going to just fold up the corners of the wings as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've done something similar.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I've discovered I pulled this out of a wire notebook, so I've got this rather unexpected,
very decorative,
funky design at the end. You see, it's like little.
You've invented some new aerodynamics there that
I'm
actually.
Sure I have. Check out the nose on that. I'm quite impressed with that one.
That's very nice. Yes, it's got
there we go.
Okay, so there we have it. We have our paper planes. Now we've got to see if they actually work. This doesn't really bode well for radio, does it? That
or video, because we can't follow them. So.
No, that's true.
We can't.
Well, I can chuck mine across the room and tell you if it flies.
I'm aiming for my window. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm going to aim for my window.
Yeah.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, it got there.
Well done. What happened,
Mine
Matthew?
reached like 5 meters. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw
5
that. Yeah. I'm going to try. So off he goes, Concorde, ready for takeoff, and it crashed and burned. Oh dear. Yeah, oh dear. Yeah, it's gone into it didn't get very, I would say 2 meters. So
okay.
that was a bit disappointing. Tune in next week.
Isn't actually so aerodynamic having the holes at the end.
That could be it. I shall rethink my design and perhaps try it again. So stay tuned.
I've never seen a 747 with holes in it at the end, but there's probably a good reason for that.
That's probably it. They know more than I do, I'm sure. But very fun to do. I hope everyone watching enjoyed that demonstration.
Yes. Let's. Are we got any? Are you going to be breaking any records with your plane?
No, because I learned this technique from, I think it was called like The Big Book for Boys or something, and it was full of like that like things like you do in the Scouts.
You're getting it confused.
And like war
big
history.
boys.
Very like stereotypical boy things that you have to do, like how to make a fire and that sort of stuff. But I've forgotten. There's a bit missing. There's supposed to be a triangle here, but I don't remember how you get it there. So
Okay.
I'm gonna have to work it out.
Right.
Stay tuned. I will work on it while we
Yeah.
the show.
Okay, so if Matt drifts off during the show, then we know why. He's working on his paper plane.
But I hope he doesn't drift off just yet, because we need to find out his rating from last week's album, don't we?
We certainly do, Tracy.
Before he starts getting distracted.
Let's find out. It's time for Matt's review. Am I right in remembering, Tracy, that you picked the album last week?
No, Joe, it was you.
Was it me?
No, I'm kidding. It was me.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Oh dear, no, it was me. You had the one the previous week, which Band on the Run from Paul McCartney, which got the 10, yes. And last week, in honor of Eurovision weekend, I decided to go for of course, ABBA, and we chose ABBA's greatest hits from the LP with the famous bench photograph on the front. So that's what I had chosen for Matthew last week.
Okay, so a big album, although the songs were quite short, even though there was a lot on there, but it was huge at the time. It's become huger.
Oh, yes. It's quite a cult classic, indeed.
It certainly is, and it has this amazing photograph on the album cover, of course, of the two couples. So we have to assume, Matt, maybe wrongly, that you were cooking when you were listening to this album.
I was cooking, yes.
You were cooking, okay. And how familiar are you with ABBA before we ask you about this review?
Well, I think I knew like the big ones. I didn't recognize all of them, but I think I recognize quite a lot of the ones.
There is a lot of. They are one of the most successful bands ever. So, what did
Mamma
you think?
Mia,
Yeah.
Waterloo,
Yeah.
Fernando.
Yeah.
Fernando, yes.
You need the drums, Fernando. Can you? Famously sang the Bashir recently in Mamma Mia.
Oh, right, yes. Oh, God. Oh, honestly.
So, what did you think of the album, Matt?
I thought it was fun, but I don't know. The problem I have with ABBA is it always reminds me of like school discos and like 18th birthday parties and that sort of thing.
Dancing Queen.
Yeah, exactly. Dancing Queen, yeah. because the DJs that we have for these parties in the early 2000s and 90s always have like these, like, I don't know, like these traditional hits, and it's always like lots of ABBA, and there's always, and I always just remember it in that context when I hear those songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still fun.
Okay. So, were you dancing around the kitchen while this was on?
Yes, let's go with that. I was dancing.
Dancing while stirring, perhaps.
Yeah, I was making curry.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know what the connection would be with ABBA for curry, but yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so do you think you're inspired to maybe go back to them another time, or are you just happy to hear their greatest hits on the radio?
That's not really my music, I wouldn't say.
Right.
I appreciate the classics, but I mean, I'm not going to go seek them out, I think.
I have to say, and I don't know if you agree, Tracy, before we actually find out what Matt has scored them, I think there's one little problem with ABBA, and even though they have made loads of really, really great songs, on the radio, they have a tendency to play the same 5 or 6 hits.
True.
And that's all you ever hear.
It's quite irritating, actually, because, for example, Waterloo, it's a nice song, but it's not their best song by any means. I really despise Dancing Queen. I think it's a horrid song. You know? Yes, I mean, Does Your Mother Know is a fantastic track.
Yes.
So Long is great. There's a lot of other songs that don't get much airtime. And of course, nowadays, I mean, these are songs from quite a long time ago. So, but I do understand that ABBA have been back in the studio and they are working and planning to kind of release some new music. So that could be quite interesting. Avatar, how nice.
Yeah, they're going to like be some sort of projection or something.
That's it, exactly. It's really a new approach, very interesting, but that could be quite
because the reunion has been spoken about so many times over the years. People would love to have ABBA back as a reunion.
I have a date with my darling Auntie B over in Durris that if ABBA ever go on tour again, she and I are going together because she's also a big ABBA fan. But speaking of reunions, big news for tomorrow night on SBSS here in Netherlands. They are playing the Friends reunion documentary.
Is that tomorrow?
Apparently so. I think it's after the press conference or something. But yes, I'm definitely going to tune in. I've seen a few little clips from it, and I think it could be quite a fun show, especially for those of us who watch the entire series many times.
Absolutely. But let's get the score. The scores on the doors, as it were. From Matt, what did you think of this particular album, ABBA's Greatest Hits? How many Matts out of 10?
I decided to give it a solid 8.
Oh, that's good.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fox on the kit.
Yeah. And I probably would say, personally, I would probably go with the 8 purely because of the other songs that we don't listen to all the time. As we were saying, you know, there are some good solid songs that, it's a huge catalogue, absolutely. Lay All Your Love on Me, one of their later songs.
Really nice, indeed.
There's
so many tracks.
One of Us is
and some most and that Happy New Year song, which we hear only once a year.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes,
you know, there's lots. Good. Hurrah for ABBA! I give them an 11 every time.
There you go. Okay, well, we're going to stick the album that I've chosen for you to review for next week. It's the same sort of era, but completely different style of music. I'm going to be going for a bunch of old fogies, shall we say. Although when this was released, they weren't so old, but they certainly are now. I would say it's a miracle that they are actually still alive. Especially one member of the band in particular, and I think Tracy knows where I'm going with this.
I think I do.
This is a particular band, I would say, that gathers no moss.
Then I was completely correct. It's such a coincidence because I had planned an album from Matthew next week.
I gotcha. Now, the thing is, We're talking about the Rolling Stones here, which they will come out in the top 5 of best bands ever in all kinds of different polls all over the place. And they have, again, a huge catalogue of albums to choose from. It's difficult to choose a particular album, and you may not thank me for this because I've actually chosen an album of theirs which is a big double album, and it is quite long. But for me, this particular album is one, it doesn't have loads of big hits on it, but for me, it gives the impression that this was when they were just having a really good time making really good music. And it's called Exile on Main Street. It came out in 1972. And when you listen to this album, this is just fantastic musicians that are just at the top of their game. And if you were in a pub or club or somewhere listening to them, you go, this is really good music. So give it a go. I don't know personally, I mean, I wouldn't want to be in the kitchen. Well, maybe I would be in the kitchen cooking, but it just, for me, I just want to be in a club somewhere listening to this. This just takes me back sort of to a small live music venue that you'd walk in and go, this is cool. This is a good bluesy rocky band. So nobody would ever accuse Mick Jagger of having a good voice. I mean, my goodness, it's unique, shall we say, but it combines so well with the music.
Yeah, instantly recognizable, even to this day. And their more recent albums, you could tell they have a sound, and you can immediately recognize it as the Rolling Stones. They are so cool. They're one of my big favorites as well. So, and I've I was going to recommend Sticky Fingers for Matthew. You see next week.
Okay. Yeah. I think that came out before Exile on Main Street. I think it was a year or two before. But there you go. So that is my album for you to review for next week. Exile on Main Street, the Rolling Stones. Okay. You will need some time to listen to this, so maybe you want to split it over a couple of nights, actually.
Just make sure you're doing a 3-course dinner, Matthew. You'll have enough time.
Okay.
Time to cover everything. Yes.
There is definitely a lot to listen to, so be interested to hear what you have to say about that. Wendy's in the house with us this evening. Good evening, Wendy. Lovely to have you on board with us tonight. It is now time, actually. You've joined at a very good time, because this is the time when we're going to go a little bit zen. We're going to relax a little bit. It's time for the whole of the Netherlands. Oh, Matt, it looks like you're already getting zen there.
A little eager there, Matthew.
All right. I thought we were there.
This is time for you to have a bit of a nap, Matt.
A nap, Matt.
We're gonna start relaxing, put our feet up, put the kettle on, go all zen-like, because it is time for This Day in History. Shocking.
Shocking how bad it was.
Today it is the 27th of May, 2021, and on this very day in 1895, British inventor Bert Akers patents the film camera stroke projector. And very grateful we are too, I must say. Although this past year, possibly many of us have watched a lot more films than we have done previously, because we've all been locked up. But there is something very nice about going to the cinema. I know you're a big fan of going to the cinema, Tracy.
I do like a night at the movies. I'm a little bit old school when it comes to that. You know, I think it's a lovely evening. I love going to the Lumiere here in Maastricht. I love having a bit of dinner first, having my glass of wine, taking my wine into the theatre, and having an evening watching a movie where you don't have to hear the sound of rustling popcorn, because they don't allow you to eat in the cinema theatre, which is nice if you're there to see the movie. That said, I do also enjoy sometimes to go to the Pathé or Euroscope or any of these ones, and going all out, having popcorn and M&Ms and Coke, and just, you know, so it's all good.
It's a film, don't you?
Exactly. This is the thing. It depends what you're going to see, and if it's something that you really want to immerse yourself in, it's nice that you can feel that you're almost at home and not have too much noise. It depends. It does. But
we're very blessed in Maastricht. We've got quite a few venues to go to. You mentioned the Lumiere, of course, who are big fans of the show. And we've also had one of our birthday celebrations at the Lumiere. It's a very unique building. and it's worth going along there, even just for something to eat, even if you don't go in to watch a film.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's the space is fantastic, and they've done it so nicely. So we need to get Wouter back on the show again sometime. Yeah.
Yes, you should. So on this day in 1930, Richard Drew invents the masking tape, something that has been very much in my life the last 6 months due to the renovation here. And I've got lots of masking tape all over the place as we're actually in the throes of painting. We've got to the painting stage, so there's masking tape everywhere. Very grateful for the masking tape.
Hurrah.
Also in that very same year, the 319-metre Chrysler Building in New York City, the tallest man-made structure at the time, opened to the public. And in 1937, sticking to the US of A, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco was opened to pedestrians. I have never seen the Golden Gate Bridge. I would like to.
Yes. Oh.
Matt has. Have you walked across it?
No, I went across it on a bus, but I didn't actually see the bridge.
Too misty.
I was shrouded in fog or mist.
Yes.
Yeah, they get that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting it on the list. I would love to visit San Francisco, actually.
Yes.
I think that would be quite a cool spot. Yeah.
One day, it's on the list. In 1953, on the 20th of May, the Dutch Social Democratic Dutch Liberal Party win the municipal elections. And a few years later, in 1958, Ernest Green becomes the first African American to graduate from Little Rock's Central High School. 1961, on the 20th of May, the first black light is sold. Now, for those of you who don't actually know what a black light is, it's a type of lamp, and it emits primarily ultraviolet light. It's a very small amount of visible light, but because the light is outside of the range of human vision, it's invisible. So a room illuminated with a black light appears dark.
Isn't this the black light we see a lot in crime movies when they're searching for blood in a room where someone's been murdered or something?
Yes.
Or other things. Yeah, not just blood, indeed.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm sure it has other uses as well, but for most of us, the only time we see one is on a crime TV show, for sure. In 1967, Australians voted in favour of a constitutional referendum, granting the Australian government the power to make laws to benefit Indigenous Australians and count them in the national census. And in 1969, on this very day, Walt Disney World's construction begins at Bay Lake in Florida. Now, I haven't been to any kind of Disney World as yet. At some point, I think it's a possibility. I will probably get a little bit emotional when I see Mickey Mouse, but at the moment, I have not been.
Yeah, I'll join you. I have also not been to any Disney World or Disneyland or Euro Disney or any of them.
Matt?
Been to Paris and Florida.
Ooh, which was better?
I think I like the Paris one better. It's a lot more compact. It's not as huge and exhausting. I'm not a big fan of massive rides, so the smaller.
No,
I can't do them anymore. That's for sure. I was okay when I was younger, but even just looking at them now, my stomach goes to the
no! Your stomach is going loop to loop, let alone the ride.
Absolutely. It's true. It's true. I stand next to one, I'm like, ooh. It's yes, quite embarrassing. In 1977, on the 27th of May, the Sex Pistols released God Save the Queen, sparking major controversy and leading to a ban on the song by the BBC. And if there's anything that's going to make your song successful, it is getting banned by the BBC, because you will go straight to number one. In 1985, Britain agrees to return Hong Kong to China in 1997. And in 1997, the first all-female, which is 20 British women, reached the North Pole. It's a whole British women team that reached the North Pole. I think that's it's not something I could say would be on my bucket list. I don't know about you, Trace.
To go on an excursion to the North Pole?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been in the Arctic Circle. That was interesting. But to actually hike all the way to the North Pole?
Tough. You'd need some good shoes.
Top tip from Tracy. If you're thinking of going to the North Pole, get some good shoes. You heard it here. And finally, on this day in 2013, the largest flag ever made at 5 tons with 65 kilometres of thread is unveiled in Romania.
Which
I
flag?
don't actually know why they needed such a big flag, but they did. 5 tons. You need a very big pole.
You would, yes.
And that's it. That's
On that note.
I can't give you any more about the flag apart from you need a big pole. Let's have a look at some birthdays. On 1922, on this day, Sir Christopher Lee, the British actor famous for Lord of the Rings, was born in London, in England. 1943, Cilla Black, the pop singer and TV personality, was born. 1965, Pat Cash, the Australian tennis player, winner of Wimbledon in 1987, was born in Melbourne, Victoria. 1970, Joseph Fiennes, the British actor, famous for Enemy at the Gates and Shakespeare in Love. 1975, Andre 3000, the American rapper. And finally, a little known chef by the name of Jamie Oliver was also born in 1975. You may have seen him constantly on the cooking channels here in the Netherlands. He's very popular.
He's on 24 Kitchen 24/7.
I think pretty much. Well, he's celebrating his birthday today. So happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to anybody else who's celebrating a birthday today. Hope you're having a lovely day wherever it is, however you are celebrating it. And that was this day in history. Hey, thank you very much.
Well done, dear. Very nice.
We're going to have Petra from Oila. She's going to be joining us, telling us about her new shop. And it's all very new and exciting. And she'll be telling us about what's been happening over the past year. But before we get there, I think it's probably time for a bit of news, Tracy.
Yes, I'm ready to go. So I'll get this done and we can chat with Petra, which will be
lovely.
Very nice. Okay.
Tracy Taylor with the news.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's May 27th, and you're watching the Maastricht edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and tomorrow will start off cloudy with some rain, but it will brighten up as the day goes on. Temperatures will reach 16 degrees. Saturday will be much the same, but Sunday is set to bring blue skies and sunny spells with highs of 21. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight, and the Netherlands is very likely going to press forward with the third stage of coronavirus lockdown easing on Saturday, June 5th. Health Minister Hugo de Jonge is optimistic about the latest data around infection rates, COVID-19 hospitalizations and the vaccination progress. More will be shared in a press conference tomorrow evening. The number of COVID-19 patients being treated in Dutch hospitals fell by 7% in one day, according to latest statistics from earlier today. It was the 10th straight decrease, which has brought the total down to the lowest since October 2020. In other news, a Dutch court in The Hague has ordered Shell to slash emissions in a landmark case that could have implications for other big polluters. Campaigners describe the verdict as a monumental victory for our planet. By 2030, Shell must reduce emissions by 45% compared with 2019 levels. It's believed to be the first time that a company has been legally obliged to align its policies with the Paris Climate Accord. KLM will temporarily halt its use of Belarusian airspace in response to Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte saying that he wanted the airline to avoid the airspace because authorities there ordered a Ryanair flight to land under the pretense of a bomb threat. And it seems that Dutch supermarkets are lagging behind when it comes to complying with agreed sustainability goals, such as having less meat on shelves, clarity about the origin of products, and a concrete approach to limit deforestation. Ecoplaza and Albert Heijn scored the highest marks, followed by Plus, Aldi and Lidl, with Co-op, Dirk and Jumbo bringing up the rear. A famous mural by British street artist Banksy sold for €380,000 at an auction in Zwolle yesterday. It was the largest work by the artist to have been offered for auction. The mural is called The White House Rat and stands over 3 meters tall, weighing more than 500 kilograms. It was lifted off the building by a crane and transferred to the Netherlands in April. The art piece will now make the trip back to the United Kingdom. And Dutch national football coach Frank de Boer has finalised his 26-man squad for the upcoming European Championship. The Netherlands will compete in Group C alongside Ukraine, Austria and North Macedonia, with all of their group stage games taking place in Amsterdam. Timo Ranja will open the tournament against the Ukraine on June 13th at the Johan Cruyff Arena. And finally tonight, Chapeau Magazine and L1 have joined forces to look for the nicest terrace in Limburg. The 5 finalists are Gasterij Koningswinkelhof in Valkenburg, Coffee and House Brasserie Het IJzeren Bosch in Susteren, and here in Maastricht, Hof van Huntjes Au Coin des Bons Enfants and Dock 5. Voting is open until May 30th. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to the website of our partner, Maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Lovely stuff, Tracy.
Thank you so much.
Nicely done.
There
Good
we
news
are.
about the numbers there. It's all
Yes.
going in the right direction.
Well, fingers crossed. But indeed, I guess tomorrow, I believe the press conference is at 7 p.m. and we'll hear more then. So you never know. Oh, look
It's
at
a
that.
bit
Matthew's made a
difficult
hat.
to take you seriously, Tracy,
Yes,
because
it is.
I believe
Sorry.
Matt has converted his paper plane into a party hat.
And now I've lost it behind the sofa.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, God, there's nothing worse than losing your party hat. But very creative, Matthew, and also a very good way to recycle.
Yes. It's a
We're
bit-
very green here on the Maastricht edition. Very,
We are.
very green.
We are.
And I'll tell you somebody else who's very green, actually, and that is Petra from Oila, who I believe is waiting in the wings there. So let's get Petra on. Are you with us, Petra?
Yes, I am.
There she
There she
is. Hello, Petra. How are you?
Fine.
Lovely to see you, as always. And look at you with your big Oila Concept Store logo in the background, which
Yeah,
kind of
lovely.
gives the game away somewhat. But although we've had you on the show before, of course,
Yes.
we had you on the show from a different premises because there's been all sorts of interesting stuff that's been going on over the past year. But before we get to that, maybe you could fill in people with exactly what the Oila Concept Store is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I sell coffee, tea, homemade cakes, vintage items, and handmade gift articles. So everyone who's passionate about knitting, sewing, ceramics, candle making, whatever, they have a place at Oila. So all the products that I sell tell a story. So basically you're in a story store.
Nice.
So that's me in a nutshell, basically. I think that storytelling is a way to connect people, and giving people who make wonderful things a platform brings it more closer and more alive. So you don't have this anonymous product made by tiny Chinese kids' hands, and you know that it's fair and it's local, and it just has more soul.
Yeah, it's like a community shop in some ways, I suppose.
Yeah, it really connects people, and well, people they join conversations, they meet each other, and then they exchange Facebook contact, and you get this community feel that they met through Oila, and that's not my benefit, but it's a very welcome plus, especially in these times.
Just you saying that, I don't know about you guys, but I already get a warm fuzzy feeling just thinking about it.
Oh, I'm full of fuzz right now. Full of fuzz. But it makes
we've got
sense,
another
though.
t-shirt there, Tracy.
Indeed, I'm going to make a note of it. But I believe, Petra, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Oila actually translates as the word for family, right?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
that sort of connects in. And before I forget, I must congratulate you on your recent wedding anniversary. I believe you
Well,
celebrated
thank you.
a big. Very nice, lovely to hear. So congrats.
Thank you. Yes, 10 years already and still going strong.
Fantastic.
Oh, yes.
Even
of course.
through Corona times when we're normally very separated because he works all over the world and
Yeah.
now we found ourselves confined between four walls.
Yeah, it's kind of
Wait.
like one of those taglines in a movie, only the strongest will survive.
Yeah.
It's kind of-
Well, that ties in very well with what's happened to you over the last year, Petra, because yes, we have all been isolating. Yes, things have changed dramatically, especially if you own a business like a shop that focuses, would I say, more on gifts.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it essential shopping like the supermarkets. So for you guys, this past year has been very, very hard. But what you've done is you've moved from a smaller shop to a bigger shop. So you're going to have to talk us through this because for a lot of people, they'll be like, that sounds nuts.
Yeah, well, Insane in the Nut Brain. I think that's a song that would fit me quite well. Well, with all the new regulations that you could only have 2 people in the shop per 10 square meter or per X amount, I could only tend to 1.5 person. I don't know where you get the half person, so that's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So that made me, well, we were already looking at bigger premises, but we weren't there yet. But now was the time to push through and to get it going because I couldn't sell anything. I sold some things through the web shop and through, well, Facebook web shop and through word of mouth and from my esteemed customers or the family members I have. But it wasn't what it used to be. So you have to make choices. And yeah, if you can tend to 1.5 person in one shop and you go to a premises that's 3 times as big, well, you can do the math.
Yeah.
So people can actually come in here, walk in, have the feeling that they're not confined and restricted through the small area. Because how lovely the shop was, as quaint and quirky and small.
Which it was gorgeous.
Yes. That said, the deficit of that was that it was so small that people didn't see the products that I had.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas now, okay, there's still space for new people to bring stuff to sell. But here you see the products and they shine more. So, and people don't feel claustrophobic when they walk in. So that's a huge difference. So yeah, I said it before that either I'm a complete idiot or I'm brilliant for shifting shop through a pandemic.
Yeah.
But you didn't actually go that far, did you? Because you've literally moved from one side of the street to the other.
Yeah, and just turned the house number around. I went from 6 to 9.
Easy peasy. Yeah. Perfect. It also makes it easier for moving. You can walk up and down the street a few times to move everything along.
Yeah, quite a few times.
Yeah. But you're Petra, you opened the new place quite recently. It's not so long open, right? Yeah, so quite and now with the new regulations and a little bit of the easing, indeed, it's allowing you to have a few more customers coming in and enjoying some of the foods and drinks and that fabulous chai tea latte that you make, which is still, I love it. But really, how is it going? Have people embraced the new location?
Yes, they have. And since the coffee machine and the bar is at the beginning, people see that from the street side. So they actually walk in, and it was a necessity to put it in front because I have to put my cash register somewhere. And I am not much of a runner, so if I would have put it upstairs or downstairs and someone would walk out with my products, then either I need to throw really well, which I don't, or run really hard, which I don't either.
Okay.
So my cash register is at the beginning. Thus makes it easier to put your coffee machine there as well. So people see the coffee machine and the cakes from the get-go, and they walk in for the coffee and cakes, and then they think, oh,
there's more.
You have a shelf as well.
Let's talk about the cakes for a moment, because these are not your average cakes, of course, because, you know, it'd be very easy just to stick to a vanilla cupcake or a chocolate muffin, but you have a real interesting mix of flavors, ingredients that you're using, and the same with your drinks as well.
Yes. I don't like standard. I mean, why else would you move during a pandemic? So I do things the other way around. That's basically the story of my life. So I tend to bake gluten-free, lactose-free. I have vegan cakes and the regular cakes. Because when are you going to eat a cake or a piece of pie? When you have something to celebrate.
Yes.
If you're lactose intolerant or gluten intolerant and you get a piece of cardboard, well,
you do.
Yeah.
You can stick a candle in it, but it's still not a piece of cake.
No, absolutely.
It's so true.
So I found it. How do I say it? I found what was on offer for people with dietary restrictions so poor that I thought you have to be more creative, and there must be good stuff out there. Why not broadcast it, and why not put that in the spotlight? Because if people know it, then they won't say, oh yeah, that's gluten-free. No, there's beautiful stuff out there, gluten-free, lactose-free, whatever. But it's not known. So then you get in contact with almond flour, coconut flour.
Yeah.
And if you're creative and your mind goes 130 kilometers an hour on a regular basis, like mine does, you start thinking, well, coconut goes well with pineapple and chocolate. Okay, what if I add a bit of this or a bit of that? So
nice.
I always experiment and try to make surprising combinations. And the only thing I don't do is alcohol, unless it's a cake that someone orders to take home.
Yeah.
Then I can add alcohol to it. But
because people can actually order from you to take away for a special occasion.
Yeah.
So if they've got a birthday, an anniversary or something, they can come to you and get a special cake as well.
Yes. And then I can make it as they want, as they please. If they want it filled with sugar, that's fine with me. If they want it filled with candy, that's also fine. The only thing I don't do is fondant, because that's just chewing gum.
Oh no.
Yeah. Something you do is Dutch cuisine. Now, this may sound maybe a bit odd as we're in the Netherlands, but actually to get traditional Dutch cuisine isn't always that easy. And this is something that you provide during the week.
Yes. Every week people can pre-order their Dutch cuisine for this week. Up and until Monday, and then collection is on Wednesday. And I have cookbooks that go back to the 1700s.
Oh, wow.
So I really dig into the history of the Dutch cuisine, and sometimes I steer away from it as well, because you have to mix it up a bit. But we have surprising dishes, and people don't know it. Everyone thinks that the standard Dutch cuisine is potatoes, vegetables, meat, and that's it. There's so much more, because we're a land of fishermen, of agriculture, of farmers, and all those people ate as well. And even the poor man's dish, the stamppot, which is the mashed potatoes with vegetables mixed in.
Oh, one
There's
of my
such
favorite.
Yeah, but there's so much
Yeah.
variety to it, and
Yes.
even if the dish isn't that special, then we always have a special name.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the story behind those names is also a nice thing. For instance, there's a stamppot that's called blote billen in het gras, which translates as bare bottoms in the grass.
Oh, no.
Wow.
There you go.
Well,
That's something for on your menu, you know. Wow,
Yeah,
that's something special. Really nice.
it's a,
And Petra,
it's
these
a,
lovely.
it's a stamppot that has white beans and the green long beans.
Yeah.
So the green long beans, they represent the grass, and the white beans, they
Bottoms.
represent the bottoms.
There you go.
So it's quite interesting to dig into the history behind the
Yeah.
dishes and hand that out with the food.
So if
So-
people want to order this from you, how do they
Yeah.
go about it?
They can contact me through Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, walk into the
Mhm.
store, just saying
Mhm.
how many people, if there are any dietary restrictions. They can do that up and until Monday, and then come Wednesday they can collect it in the store. And for €8.95 you get a full main course and the dessert. And I'll throw in an extra for you guys. If you do that this week, you'll get 10% discount if you mention that you come through the Maastricht edition.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
That's very generous of you. And just remind everybody exactly where is the shop?
Sporenstraat 9A. So that's right next to Amersplein. If you go from the Amersplein to the Grote Straat, it's basically the first shop on your right-hand side.
Fantastic. Well,
Where the sign
we've all
is,
been in your
best
shop.
coffee,
We
best-
absolutely love it. It's a great place for gifts. If you're looking for
Yes.
something a little bit different,
Yes.
it's a really good shop to go to. And of course, you can have the best coffee in town, a nice slice of cake, and then order your dinner for later on in the week. I mean, honestly, why wouldn't you go there?
It's a one-stop shop. Well, I'm cancelling all my plans for Saturday, and I'm just going to go to Oila. That's it. I'm done. You know, if there's a little extra free dessert in the mix as well, I'm set. It's really nice. And also, Petra, you're also an ambassador really for little local companies who are selling their products as well in your shop,
Yes.
right? So
Yes,
that's
and
also
one actually came from a post that you made, Tracy.
really.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm selling Monsanto's candles now.
There you go. See? Excellent.
They're hand-poured soy candles without any chemicals into them. They're made in small batches and they're hand-poured here in Maastricht.
They're the hand. I was lucky enough to receive a gift from a lovely lady, and it was a little soaps and these candles from Monsanto, because I hadn't heard of them, and now indeed they're in Oila Concept Store. And you also recently have these little power bomb
bombs.
things,
Yeah,
flower
yes.
bombs, flower bombs, which is very cool as well.
Yes, so they're made in a workspace for people with the distance to the. Oh, my dog just came in.
Oh,
A quick mention of Hugo.
Come here.
Hugo is a new member of the family at
Yes.
Oila.
the high point of the night.
Yeah, so people can come in for a coffee and a cuddle.
Oh.
There's Hugo.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to leave now. Going right away. Oh,
It is actually possible to Oila and give Hugo a hug.
Petra,
I
what time
will.
are you open on Saturday?
Until 5 o'clock, more or less.
Okay.
Um,
Oh.
Well, Petra, it's been absolutely lovely having you on the show. And we are so pleased for you that you've managed to open up this bigger shop. It is wonderful. Your products are superb. We love the community feel. And we're loving Hugo. So anybody out there who wants to come and hug Hugo, wants to have a lovely cup of coffee, a nice slice of cake, and as we said, order some traditional Dutch cuisine, get yourself down to Oila. We've got people online now posting links to your place. You've got fans here, Adam's here, Hans, Anne. So it's all good. Next time you've expanded and taken over the whole of the high street, do come on and tell us all about it.
Well, I think this will be sufficient for now, and I think I will stick to this. 100 square meters, that's for the foreseen time, that's enough. But thanks for having me.
Information on our socials at the end of the show, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. See you soon. Oh, how cool.
1 week we've got the Eurovision winners on the show. Another week, Hugo the dog. I mean,
Hugo
really.
the dog. By the way, Hugo the dog has his own Instagram account. So if you want, you can find Little Tubbs is now following. Yeah.
And hug Hugo. I dare say after the show, there's probably going to be a queue for Hugo hugs. So
he's so cute.
Adorable. Absolutely adorable for sure. Oh, so while Tracy's having a moment, it's probably time for Matt to go Dutch. What have you got for us this week, Matt?
Well, I'm continuing on the invention theme. So I have another invention for you. Sorry, my laptop has turned itself off. I will quickly log in. Right, so this week I'm going to talk to you about Cornelius the Rebel.
There's a name.
There's a very good name.
The Rebel.
Yeah. So we're again travelling back to the 16th and 17th century, and the Rebel is actually famous for inventing the world's first submarine. But it's a bit controversial because, it's no fun if there's no controversy. He was Dutch, but he invented the submarine in England and made it in England. So I wasn't quite sure if it counts as a Dutch invention. So I'll leave that up to you guys whether you think it counts or not. But I'm going to tell you about him anyway. So he was born in Alkmaar in 1572 and initially trained as an engraver and later as an alchemist, so an early form of scientist. And he married Sophia Jansdochter Holtzius in 1595.
Did he now?
Yes, and it's a bit of a mouthful. But I'll tell you about this because it said in the source I was reading that due to her prodigal lifestyle, which means she was constantly spending money, he had to go out and find another job because he wasn't earning enough money as an engraver. So he had to start inventing things. So one of his first inventions was in 1598 for a water supply system, and he got a patent for it. And it was also a perpetual mobile or clockwork. So this pump sort of worked on its own. It was like an early form of a automatic system. He also built an elaborate fountain in Middelburg in 1600, and he also, while in Middelburg, which links back to last week, learnt about lens making, because last week we talked about the microscope. And the guy who supposedly invented it came from Middelburg, because that was the center of lens making in the 1600s. So then, due to all his inventing, he became quite famous in the Netherlands, and the English king, King James I, invited him over to England at the time. So in 1604, he went to the English court, and he got a room in Alpen Palace, because he was that important. And the king and his court were fascinated by Drabble because he was able to invent lots of really exciting things, like moving automaton things for theatre performances, and also he created sound effects and light effects for the performances, so like thunder and lightning effects. He also created magic lanterns, which is an early form of projector, and also camera obscurers, which is sort of like an early form of cinema. So he was really at the forefront of creating all these special effects and exciting things, and people were amazed by him. So then in 1620, he started to work for the Royal Navy and invented the first submarine. So it was built from a wooden frame and covered in leather to make it watertight. Don't know how trustworthy that sounds, but apparently it worked. So he tested numerous different versions, and eventually the final version was able to carry 16 people and be rowed by 6 oarsmen. And it was so impressive that King James himself agreed to go into the submarine in the Thames and have a test drive. So he became the world's first monarch to travel underwater.
Wow.
King James I in this.
Oh, wow.
So the submarine was able to stay underwater in the Thames for 3 hours and could descend to a depth of 5 meters. So it didn't go that far down, but for that period, it's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's not that bad, not too shabby.
Yeah. But also, of course, when you're underwater, you need oxygen. And how do you get oxygen in those days? Well, Rebel thought about this and he decided, okay, well, we need some oxygen, so I'm going to burn some saltpeter in a pan, which will produce, saltpeter is potassium nitrate, if you don't know what one is.
Okay.
You know what the other is? I don't know what either are. You burnt that, and then when you burn that releases oxygen, potassium oxide, but it also has a side effect which stops the buildup of carbon so they didn't all suffocate. So he did something really clever. But what I didn't quite understand, which sounds quite dangerous, is a wooden ship and you're burning something inside of it underwater. But no one died.
That's a recipe for disaster.
So, but unfortunately, the Royal Navy didn't really just like the invention. They didn't really see how it could be used in the Navy to attack people. So it didn't get used in the end. But Rebel also created torpedoes, naval mines, explosives. He also created a red dye accidentally by spilling chemical on a tin shelf. And this created a really sought after dye in Europe because it was so bright red compared to the natural dyes. And he also created the first Mercury Thermometers, which he used to make a chicken egg incubator, which was the world's first feedback controlled system. So like the machine he built would receive information about how warm it was inside the incubator and adjust the temperature so the eggs were kept at a constant
He's been quite busy.
He was very successful. It had his fingers in lots of different pies. And he even created a prototype for air conditioning, which worked, and a solar-powered device such as harpsichords, so solar-powered harpsichord. And he also worked on plans to create solar power for the whole city of London. So this is in like the early 1600s.
Wow.
And he was even thought to have created the first prototype for a microscope. So that's a bit controversial because last week we talked about guys who invented a microscope.
Yes.
But unfortunately, as a lot of these brilliant people, he died penniless and didn't have a nice end to his life. But he was still a brilliant man. So there you go. There's Cornelius the Rebel.
Oh, there you go. And he had a great name too.
He did, yeah.
But he certainly did a lot with his life, that's for sure, because that's a very busy man.
Yes, very
interesting stuff. Nice one, Matt. Well, there you go. I don't think, to be honest with you, a submarine in the Thames, I think you really don't want that to go wrong, because I think at that time the water in the Thames would have killed you anyway. So, yeah.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly. We're coming towards the end of the show. Tracy,
we're over.
Before we leave.
We are late, people, late today. Let me quickly get through. I've got 3 very exciting titty-bitties for you today. Okay. Now, as you guys know, most art galleries reopened last weekend with a maximum of 3 visitors and the wearing of a mouth mask. So, why not use this opportunity to check out the Punt Art Gallery in the Yaker Quartier, which is offering a real art carousel, where the gallery is divided into 3 rooms, and each room changes every week to show some different pieces, former exhibitions, and also new collections. And so for artists who are already struggling to bring their work into the public at this time, this is a very nice opportunity to no longer leave your art at a depot or in some studio. The exhibition carousel will remain in place until September, so that's definitely something to check out with the lovely Marijke at Punt Art Gallery in Maastricht. Somebody who's equally lovely is Hugo Parks, and he's actually our guest on the show next week. We have a lot of Hugos in the show this evening. Now, he's indeed going to join us next week. He'll be able to tell us all about the fun things he's been busy with and will be busy with. And one of the cool things is he's going to be offering some boot camp classes every Monday, starting as of June 14th, I believe, at 7 p.m. in the Stadspark here in Maastricht. Now, more details can be found on his Facebook page, but you can also tune in next week to hear the updates from the man himself. And lastly, this Saturday, the 29th of May, if you're not hanging out at Oila Concept Store, you could pass by the English bookstore in Maastricht, and our very own blogger and the award-winning author, Mr. Val Karren, will be at the English bookstore from 2 o'clock till 6, offering a sort of meet the author event. And also very exciting is you can get some copies of his book signed if you have a copy. They also sell the copies there in the store. But there'll also be some free coffee and donuts while you're there. I mean, that's a day out for everybody. So lots of fun things and lots of different ideas there to maybe plan something in for your weekend.
Excellent. Oh, that sounds great. So we could do a shop crawl between Oila and the English books store.
You could have some coffee in Oila, have a hug with Hugo, then you could go to the bookstore and, get some book signings and things. And then on Monday, you can have a workout in the park with Hugo Parks. So
the shops are quite a distance apart, so you could have a workout in between them to work off the cake.
True.
Very practical of you, Matt.
And at
Very
the end
practical.
of the day, you can take in some art and kind of unwind. I mean, it's a great day out,
Oh, well, that's the weekend sorted then, isn't
That's
it?
it. And don't forget a shout out to our lovely friends at Meet Maastricht, who are also still busy with tours in the city. And the weather is supposed to be a little bit better this weekend. So it's a nice opportunity to get some really good history and some fun facts.
It is absolutely spot on, Tracy. Well, we have come to the end of the show. A big thank you to Petra and Hugo for joining us on the show. Don't forget, if you want to get that special gift that's a little bit different and you want to hug Hugo, get yourself along to Oilers as soon as you can. As Tracy mentioned, next week, Hugo is going to be joining us. Hugo Parks, that
Parks,
is.
not the dog.
Hugo the
No, he's welcome. He's really welcome.
He is well. Actually, maybe that's something they could work on together. Hugo and Hugo in the park. I mean, I'm sure there's something there. But yes, Hugo Parks is going to be joining us next week. We're going to be talking boot camps. He's going to be talking about particular moves, showing us some moves. It's worth tuning in just to see us bend some shapes next week. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been lovely to have you with us, and we shall see you again next week. Thanks ever so much. Bye for now. Bye.